Welcome to a special bonus edition of Crescent City Crime, dear listeners. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Brian.
And as always, we thank everybody for listening to us. We welcome everybody who is listening to us, whether or not you're new, whether or not you are a repeat listener. All of our social media things will be linked in the show notes as always. We encourage reviews, subscriptions, and of course word of mouth. So please tell your friends about us, but also
tell your enemies, especially your enemies.
So I wanted to jump in here tonight. I am pretty much just getting off of work, but ever since Thursday I've been closely following the recent arrest of the Long Island serial killer. And Brian, you have been subjected to a lot of stream of information coming from me about it.
Yes, very much so.
And the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because you don't often see a prolific serial killer just get caught after the cases had gone cold.
No, not often. And there's usually like a level of public apathy that develops. And sometimes even within the law enforcement authority that's charged with the investigation as well at times.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because a reason why this person was likely not caught sooner was because of police corruption. The police chief of Suffolk County, the former police chief, spent 46 months in federal prison.
And that's not even the biggest surprise. Police chiefs in small towns have unfortunately often wound up getting caught breaking the law by either the FBI or the much larger sheriff's department for the county or parish.
Right.
Which in Louisiana, there is a local police chief that has recently been arrested for dealing drugs.
Oh, which one was that?
Let's see. I'm sorry, I don't recall the town. It's the sheriff's department for the parish in question.
So it was basically
has arrested him, and the sheriff said something to the effect of, "It's bad enough that there's drug dealers in that town, and that we have to remove the police chief for doing it."
Well, I am going to give a brief summary of the Long Island serial killer. The Gilgo Beach serial killing spanning from 1996 to 2011, as far as we know. Anything else is speculation at this point about, it has been revealed that Rex Heuermann, that is the killer's name, had traveled here and there. It looks like he probably has a gambling addiction. He has a timeshare in Las Vegas. He also owes tens of thousands of dollars in back taxes. It sounds like he was trying to fund something of an expensive lifestyle, and that is the least of his crimes, is being in trouble with the IRS. But for a long time, this was a mystery. Nobody knew who this guy was. And the remains of up to 18 individuals were discovered in the area of Gilgo Beach. That's 18 sets of remains that were found.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the victims were sex workers.
Yeah.
They had advertised their services on Craigslist, and this earned the unknown perpetrator at the time several monikers. Long Island serial killer is one of them, the Manorville Butcher, and the Craigslist Ripper.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, it's Grand Coto police chief.
Okay.
Arrested on drug charges and theft charges. The arresting authority was St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office. That's what I thought it was. I just want to make sure.
Okay, yeah, St. Landry Parish is... it is one of those parishes that is pretty impoverished. It does not surprise me that there's heavy drug activity in that area. Sometimes these drug dealers are trying to earn a living. And, of course, poverty also can feed into addiction.
Yeah, and the local police there are on a low salary, including the chief. And occasionally these types of underpaid police chiefs and officers wind up engaging in corruption to supplement their income. The police chief was, Jeffrey Carl Gilbo. Jeffrey Gilbo.
Okay.
Gilbo was a French name, and it's fairly common in Louisiana.
Yes, it is.
So there you have it, folks.
So there you have it. Yes, even law enforcement is not above the law, or at least they're not supposed to be.
Yes, and this is just yet another example of the crime that's bred by
corruption.
Disgraced President Richard Nixon's drug war.
That too, yes.
Yes.
So the investigation into these Long Island killings gained momentum in 2010 when Shannon Gilbert, a sex worker, went missing. Her disappearance prompted a police search of the Ocean Parkway area near Gilgo and Oak Beach in Suffolk County. This ultimately led to the discovery of human remains. In December of 2010, the remains of 4 victims, and these are the ones that are known as the Gilgo 4, were found in close proximity to each other. The names of the 4 women found are Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Following the disappearance of Melissa Bartholomew in 2009, the killer targeted her family by making taunting phone calls and text messages.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the most sadistic examples of a psychopath out there. It's not enough to gain pleasure, to get his dopamine to his brain from torturing and murdering innocent people, but has to terrorize the relatives as well for an additional dopamine high, of course.
Yeah, it really is infuriating when I think about it too hard that somebody as terrible as this is. I mean, he's already committing heinous crimes, but yeah, like you just said, it's for him. It was just a part of getting off on it.
Yes, and you see, I mean, that's one of the ways that someone becomes a serial killer of multiple murders. They get addicted to that dopamine high that they get from torturing someone, murdering someone. So they're going to do it over and over again because it's their hobby. They enjoy doing it, and it's how they get their dopamine high.
Authorities believe that the sets of remains found later likely predate the 4 bodies that were discovered in December of 2010. So this is a prolonged and disturbing pattern of violence. Now, there is speculation that there is more than one serial killer. I am open to that possibility. I mean, Long Island is close to New York City. New York City is a huge megalopolis. The more people that you have in one area, the more likely it is that you're going to get not so savory characters from that crowd.
Yes, because this is a fraction of a decimal point of a percent of your given population are people like this. So yes. The larger the population, the larger the possibility you're going to have these kinds of people.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everybody, California had and Washington State have had active serial killers, more than one active serial killer at the same time. you know, and Baton Rouge, even Baton Rouge, Louisiana, has had more than one active serial killer at the same time. And Baton Rouge is nowhere near as big as New York City. So I'm still speculating. It is possible that there's more than one killer. However, that is going to remain to be seen, because as of right now, law enforcement has seized storage units in Rex Heuermann's name. Law enforcement has said that this is the worst they've ever seen, which, when you're in law enforcement, you see some pretty messed up things. And if they're saying that this is the worst they've seen, then that kind of leads me to believe that they might be finding body parts, perhaps.
They might have found a very macabre collection of souvenirs. And being an architect, it's quite... Now, this... Of course, this is... even the thought of this is disturbing. I'm thinking right now there's a possibility that he may have created his own very twisted form of art from his victims.
Oh, okay. Now my mind didn't even go there.
That, you see,
yeah,
my mind went there because they said this is the worst they've seen. Okay.
Yeah.
So that kind of really stretched my imagination, and my short time in law enforcement, I saw a few pretty messed up things when I was overseas in the Marine Corps. I saw a few pretty messed up things. So, my imagination was already predisposed to that kind of thing.
I'm actually kind of surprised that my mind didn't go there, because when you start talking about things like that, it sounds like a Criminal Minds episode or a Law and Order or something like that.
Just keep in mind, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
Now, far as the possibility of a different serial killer operating at the same time, of course it is a possibility, but I'm also open to the possibility that this particular serial killer had two different styles.
Yeah, and also, every time a serial killer pops up, somebody who's been arrested, somebody who might confess to the crime, somebody that they can find evidence on, it seems like there's always something new that pops up with them. Like, some of them do stick to type. Some of them are very methodical. They have the same torture, kill, disposal methods, but some don't. It seems like it's a little more rare, but some serial killers do change their MO.
So there was that possibility as well. That it could be the same serial killer, but I think they'll be able to figure out if it is the same serial killer linked to all these victims.
Yes.
Because they're going to find something that links, both of these proverbial killing styles.
Yes. Now the case was cold up until they made the arrest. They made the arrest on July the 13th, 2023. The cell phone data obtained from the phone calls that he made to Melissa's family played a vital role in facilitating the arrest. So, it was discovered that on August the 10th of 2009, he traveled to Iceland based on subpoenaed travel documents, and during that period, all phone activity associated with the Bartholomew phone ceased. Then on August 18th of 2009, after he had returned from Iceland, the phone activity resumed the following day. So that's pretty damning.
Yeah, I would say so.
The connection between Rex Heuermann and he had several burner phones as well, and this is what he used to contact the victims, because he was still trolling for sex workers. So he would call the sex workers through burner phones, and he paid for all of these phones through his American Express card.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me, dude. Really?
Yeah, so...
Oh, oh, God, I mean, it's like, just from my knowledge, okay, of, say, let's say,
Of what?
okay, CIs, okay?
Confidential informants?
Yes, okay, including, especially for, like, members of the media, okay? When you buy burner phones, you go out of town to a retailer you never frequent.
Pay cash.
And pay cash and wearing clothes that you never wear as well.
Maybe even put a wig on and a mustache.
A hat. Shades.
Yeah.
Reading glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. To make yourself look like you wear glasses. Okay. But wow. Using a credit card in your name to purchase burner phones.
Yes, he did that.
Well, he did the investigators a favor with that one.
Well, additionally, the usage of the phones were in close proximity to his former New York City office. So, of course, this helped to link him to the killings. And the burner phones were linked to a series of corresponding burner emails that he had created to communicate with sex workers online. And in what appears to be another lapse in judgment, Heuermann used his personal cell phone to access the inbox of one of the burner emails. Okay.
Oh, boy. And you see something else, okay? From when say a journalist or even a member of law enforcement meets with someone, utilizing fake email address, you're going to access that email address on, I guess you can call it on a computer,
right?
That you have absolutely no personal information on.
Like at the public library?
No, because at the public library, remember, you have to register.
Oh, that's right, you do, yeah.
Yeah, you do. So they know who's accessed those computers at a certain time, okay? It's kind of like getting the burner phone, except it's a burner computer.
Right.
It's a laptop computer that, once again, you purchased it out of town at a retail you never go to, paid cash for it. You put zero personal information on it, and the only email you log on to is burner emails.
Right.
Or fake emails, with your fake name and all that stuff. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so, yeah. It's another slip up there, right there.
Well, one particular burner email account, and this is referred to as Thawk email accounts. This is in the court documents. This is a valuable source of evidence. It contained thousands of searches related to sex workers, sadistic activities, torture-related pornography, and even child sex abuse material. Now, this is incriminating.
Very incriminating.
It's possible that he was looking up specific types of torture pornography that matched what he did with the bodies. That is entirely possible. The particulars may come out someday. But just remember that this is, in general, this is a really dark topic. So proceed down the rabbit hole at your own risk. You might not want that in your head.
Yeah, I suspect that a bit of this history of looking that stuff up is early on, before at least some of the murders, or he was working up to this.
Well, some more of the speculation is that there's and this is things that I've read on the internet forums. Okay, this is not factual. This has not been proven or nothing. but there is speculation that he may have started when he was 20, just based on certain unsolved murders from that area way back in the day.
And going through various mediums of porn is probably predated that as a teenager, okay? Whereas he's getting his dopamine highs off of watching certain kinds of porn, and then he gets this, tolerance built up, and then he goes for more hardcore types of porn, and then frequents prostitutes. Mm-hmm. Because this has become an addictive kind of habit to him.
Yes.
And he discovers how sadistic he is, and that he probably gains even more pleasure from being sadistic. So he started torturing and murdering these prostitutes.
And
it wasn't enough for him to have sex with them.
And unfortunately, just like so many other cases that we've talked about, like, this kind of thing, a lot of those victims are sex workers, or they were sex workers. And once again, I just have to say, they're some of the most vulnerable members of our society, and they should be protected a lot better than they actually are. I'm going to just keep saying that until it happens.
Yes, they're innocent people. Prostitution is a victimless crime. They're taking all the risks, essentially putting themselves out there for certain kinds of clientele, and unfortunately, not all their clientele is, on the up and up as far as their profession goes.
Not all of them are Richard Gere from Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. And, well, women who, it's like the only women who get to, the only sex workers, okay, who get clientele like Richard Gere for that movie are high-paid escorts.
Yeah, like Heidi Fleiss escorts, yeah.
Right. Okay, obviously they're in a less riskier, those particular sex workers are in a less riskier version of the profession than street prostitutes.
Right. Now,
ordinarily when someone gets the proverbial sex addiction that begins with watching excessive amounts of porn to the point to where the man, it's sunlight already, the man hasn't gone to sleep, he's spent the whole night binging on porn, and eventually winds up picking up prostitutes. Okay, normally that's kind of where it ends, is just picking up the prostitutes, and a divorce, and probably losing his job. And I'm basing this on a true story I read about. There was this tenured professor who actually missed a speaking engagement.
Oh.
Because of this kind of behavior, because his sex addiction just took over his life. And this was a real sex addiction. This wasn't like certain celebrities just getting in trouble for sexual harassment and then saying, I have sex addiction and I'm going to go get treatment for it. All of a sudden. No. This was a pattern of behavior that just escalated over a period of years.
Right.
You see? And so essentially this is very similar to how someone escalates to become a serial killer, which of course is not the usual result. The usual result is just simply some dead end where otherwise law-abiding citizen ruins his own life from engaging in something, to excess, you see.
Right. Well, during the period from March of 2022 to June 2023, Rex Heuermann conducted over 200 searches directly related to the Lisk case. These searches encompassed a wide range of topics, including information about the victims, stories about the unsolved murders, and details about the investigation itself. Prosecutors revealed that Huerman searched for various podcasts and documentaries as well. Additionally, it repeatedly accessed numerous images depicting the murdered victims and their immediate family members. So, like, images of the dead bodies, images of the families in the press. He was accessing these photos over and over again.
Which was feeding into his addiction.
Right.
To his habit of harming people, gaining pleasure from harming people. This was feeding that even further. Apparently his dopamine was getting triggered in the brain from watching the media coverage. He was getting off on media coverage of himself.
Yes, and he wouldn't be the first serial killer to read his own press, to or to even insert himself into the investigation.
And it's really disgusting to even think that this psychopath apparently felt it glorious to do all of this stuff, which is probably tied into his just enjoyment of his own press.
Yeah. Well, furthermore, prosecutors highlighted a significant detail. He also sought out and viewed articles concerning the task force that was especially created to investigate him.
So he was trying to keep track of what they were doing the best he could.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, good job, asshole.
And another crucial piece of evidence is that Amber Costello, who was one of the Gilgo Four, was that what had happened was that Amber was with Rex Huerman, and her, I guess it was her pimp or her friend, basically stormed into the room and, quote, caught them in the act. He pretended to be an angry boyfriend. And this is a scam wherein you get the money from your client without having to do anything for it, because your boyfriend magically interrupted you. Okay. Now, because of this, there was a witness that was able to describe Rex Huerman. Described him as an ogre, as a matter of fact. Said he looked like an ogre. Which, okay.
Yeah, you were looking at the mugshot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But most importantly, the witness was also able to tell the law enforcement that he drove a first-generation Chevy Avalanche, which is a pretty crucial detail about who this person might have been. Now, prosecutors also presented DNA evidence that undeniably connects Rex Huerman to these crimes. A male hair was found within... So, the Gilgo Four, they were put into burlap sacks. And a male hair was found in one of the sacks. And this was determined to be a mitochondrial match with a probability of 99.96%. Which...
Oh, it was in mitochondria?
Yeah, the mitochondria, yes.
Ah, yes. Our energy factories.
And
adenine triphosphate is made there. ATP for short.
This has been Science Corner.
Biology.
Biology Corner, yeah.
Yes,
Well, it's biology science.
Yeah, the ingredients of adenine triphosphates. Water, glucose, oxygen.
Mm.
Yep.
Well, 99.96% is very high. This means that it is statistically improbable that it is somebody else. Investigators obtained Huerman's DNA sample from a discarded pizza crust that they observed him throwing into a garbage can outside of his Manhattan office in January of 2023.
Yep. He didn't dispose of that evidence, did he?
The results from the lab confirmed the match between the DNA collected from the pizza crust and the hair found in the burlap sack.
Yeah, that Saturday over at that brewery picnic deal. Remember, that's why I finished a piece of pizza crust that you left.
Well, yeah.
Get rid of the evidence. I ate the evidence.
I am...
Just in case you killed someone before showing up there.
All right, I have to confess this. I am a serial podcaster. Don't judge me, everybody.
Well, occasionally I've been a serial killer, okay? I don't remember when this took place, and I'm confessing you this right now. But I killed an entire box of Captain Crunch one time.
Not Captain Crunch.
Yes. I killed the whole box.
All right.
Possibly half a gallon of milk along with it.
Not the milk.
Yes,
how
the milk
do
too.
That?
You can't kill a box of cereal without milk.
Now, another significant development in the investigation was the discovery of DNA evidence from the hairs of a woman found on two of the victims. Forensic scientists were able to match this DNA to Rex Huerman's wife. And she was during the times of these murders, and it has been confirmed, she was out of the country. Okay? And the ongoing forensic investigation at the residence of Rex Huerman suggests a belief that he may have committed the murders of the women inside the house while his wife was away, which, my God, I can't even imagine.
I think, didn't he use their bed too?
Might have.
I remember where the hairs came from.
I do know that law enforcement has basically taken the entire bed.
Well, there you have it.
And they also took away a sofa bed.
Uh-huh.
So, again, these particulars, we might not know everything at some point. I mean, at some point we might know everything, but right now we don't. We don't know what evidence is being collected from where. But it does seem likely to me, and it would actually make sense to me, that this was his method. Wife goes out of town. Hey, let's engage in my sadistic hobby right in my house.
Yes, and now a greater percentage of the population, I would say a much greater percentage of the population, waits until the spouse is out of town to have an affair, even in the house. Okay?
Right.
On their bed, okay? And, of course, other men, okay, like myself, might wait until, say, like Tracy's visiting her parents over in Tennessee to hit up the gaming shop for longer gaming sessions, for example.
You went to the gaming shop without me?
Guilty. So, of course, the normal behavior to wait for your wife to leave town before engaging in certain things, but of course it's disturbing to see that even the married psychopath is going to do this, is going to operate in a similar fashion.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, I wish he would have just gone to the gaming shop.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when I'm hitting up the gaming shop while you're out of town, well, I'm...
You're what?
I mean, I'm kind of, killing people in a fantasy situation.
Oh, yeah, like miniatures games and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Engaging in warfare and all that stuff. And but this guy does it for real. This guy actually literally murders people when his wife is out of town.
I know that's so chilling to me, though.
Now, those of you religious fundamentalists out there, okay, this is the real demon, okay, folks. All right, you see, this is the real proverbial satanic guy, okay, not guys like me who might occasionally play some Dungeons and Dragons campaign where we're a bunch of chaotic evil SOBs doing evil things in a game, okay?
Right.
Okay? And you're worried about us, playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Do you remember
when you got these people out there right under your freaking noses doing it for real?
A long time ago, we were at a coffee shop, and I think I was like, either we were playing with Magic cards, Magic the Gathering, or I was just looking through a deck, and like these weirdo fundamentalists came up to me and like tried to convert me because they thought it was satanic. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember that. God almighty. Yeah. Like the toy aisle of a Toys R Us years and years ago when you had Harry Potter. Some of the shelves are dominated by Harry Potter toys, from the movies, or Lord of the Rings toys from those movies. And this lady shopping for toys for one of her children walks up to me and talks to me about how satanic Harry Potter is in Lord of the Rings. And I kind of smiled, and you know me, I'll talk to anybody about just about anything without getting upset with them. And I smiled and I said, well, of course, it's obviously satanic. Sure. Well, if it is, well then, why did the bad guys lose?
Right.
Why do the writers go out of their way to basically show you why the bad guys are so evil, why you shouldn't be like them? So, it doesn't add up. These people haven't read a single sentence of any of those books or even seen a minute of any of those movies. No, they just always need a boogeyman.
Right. This is the real boogeyman.
This is the real boogeyman, people. This, not somebody in a fantasy situation playing a game or watching a movie. This is who you should be on the lookout for. Not a bunch of geeks playing video games or role-playing games or tabletop war games.
Now, as of now, Rex Heuermann is charged with the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Costello, and he is a prime suspect in the death of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. And until there is official word on more charges, anything else is speculation at this point. I really want to emphasize that because some of the things that I've read over this past week have just, as a person who has a true crime podcast, and yes, I look at this as primarily a hobby. But some people who they call it chasing clout. So like they'll come up with these most ridiculous theories. They'll even try to claim they have some kind of special knowledge of the case and that kind of thing, and that's really just that's just annoying.
Or just in case they're wrong, they'll just cook something up and say it's been rumored.
Spoiler alert, everybody was wrong in this case. I mean, nobody guessed that it was an architect from New York City. I think that the only thing that I really remember, I think it was on a podcast, hearing early on, was that this person had to have been a resident of Massapequa, and sure enough, Rex Heuermann lived in Massapequa. So that was the only thing that was right. Okay, everybody else was wrong. Okay, that nobody gets a gold star with their homework. Nobody gets a pat on the head for being correct. Everybody was wrong.
Yeah, well, it's you can't underestimate psychopaths, because psychopaths are typically intelligent people.
Yes.
Now, of course, being intelligent doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. Doesn't mean you're not going to slip up.
Right. And I also just want to let's have a little bit of fun here. There's internet forums, right? Of course, it's anonymous. You never really know who's making these comments. You don't know what they look like. You don't know where they live. None of that.
Unless it's a Facebook friend who you know in real life.
Okay, good point. Or a social media friend that you know in real life. Not just Facebook. It could be Instagram or whatever. But
Same thing.
But anyway.
Semantics.
But anyway. Let's say that a person on a forum would have been correct. Let's say that this person was like, oh, it was Rex Heuermann and he lives in Massapequa in an ugly red house. Okay. Well, even if you made that comment, how could you actually prove that it was you? You're not going to hold a press conference, right? None of that. So I guess I just don't understand this whole clout chasing thing. Maybe it's supposed to be for clicks, for views, troll bait or whatever. Well, it's ridiculous and it's aggravating.
You have it in every genre.
Yeah, you do.
Every genre there is.
Yeah, like Star Wars fandom is really, parts of it are very toxic.
World affairs concerning military matters. It exists there too.
Yeah.
Where it's like every now and then the CIA gets accused of doing all kinds of wild and crazy things that they might not even have the capability to accomplish. And there are military experts out there that go on YouTube and say, the CIA is not playing 4D chess all the time.
Right.
In every freaking country, like this wild ass conspiracy theory that the CIA deliberately planted, left behind military equipment for the Taliban to acquire in Afghanistan, so that they could attack Iran. Okay. That's like really, really freaking wild, and it's not true. The CIA actually addressed it and kind of laughed it off. Because if that was the plan, there would have actually been a lot more going on than just Iranian Taliban forces attacking an outpost along the Afghan-Iranian border close to this waterway that they're kind of sort of sparring over.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah. In the near future, who knows, there might be a water war between Iran and Afghanistan, but maybe not. They're trying to smooth things out right now.
Well, let's hope that they can smooth things out, because anything good in this world that can happen, I would like it to happen.
Yeah. But there was another interesting tidbit. One of the Taliban generals picked up this gallon of water and, via social media told one of the Iranian mullahs, here, I offer you this gallon of water. Please don't attack us. We're terrified. Very sarcastically speaking.
Right, right. Well, do you have anything to add about Rex Heuermann, Long Island serial killer? I just want to say I'm just really glad that he was caught. I am glad that in this time period of our lives, 2023, that we have DNA testing that's so accurate that these cold cases can be solved, that we can catch the people who did it. I mean, we saw this a couple of years ago with the East Area Rapist, also became the Golden State Killer. We also saw this with the Pillowcase Rapist in Florida. There are very recent examples of these things happening.
And everyone be patient. I'm certainly being patient. This investigation team is rightfully piling up the evidence, because the greater the pile of evidence they get on this guy, the greater the probability that they can lock him up for the rest of his life.
Right. Yes. Exactly. He is being held without bail. He has pled not guilty through his attorney. And his next court date is August the 1st, 2023. So perhaps during that time, that's less than 2 weeks away. So perhaps during that hearing, More charges will be read. That is, I mean, that's what I'm expecting.
Yes, yeah, be patient. They need to take the time to gather this all up.
Yeah, and also remember that this is very tedious. Rex Heuermann, it's also being reported that he was a pack rat. So that's a lot of items to go through, big and small.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't envy the investigators there and the crime scene techs.
Yeah, I just hope that
They
they
have
can.
they have a lot of work to do, so it's going to be pretty time. Given he's a pack rat, yeah, it's going to take more time than normal to process evidence.
Yeah, and
The enormity of this case.
I just hope that they can identify excuse me, identify more of the remains that were found in that dumping site. I really hope that it was only one guy. I hope that there's not more than one serial killer roaming around out there.
Well, a conversation with you off the air, I kind of likened the possibility that this is the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
To someone whose hobby is, model railroad trains.
Right, right.
Being into RO and HO scale at the same time.
Gotcha.
Two different styles of the same thing.
But still toy trains.
But still toy trains, yes. Two different styles of murder, but still murder.
Right. Yes. So, dear listeners, that is going to wrap it up for us on this bonus content episode. We will be back on Thursday with our regularly scheduled podcast, as always. And until then, everybody, be safe, be kind. Remember that we're all human beings. Don't park next to vans and protect the sex workers.
If it's dark, it's dangerous, and you don't feel safe, don't be there in the first place, even if you are purchasing your burner phone or your burner computer outside of town. And if you are being questioned by law enforcement and you are not the victim or the witness to a crime, lawyer up.